All right, and welcome back to the musical date debate number 6. And with us today, we have, of course, Mr. FTFO, Mr.
What's up,
Mike,
guys?
good old Social Radio, and myself, Joshua, and of course, we have a special guest today, Miss Becca Ledoux. Hello.
What's up? How y'all doing?
We're alright. How about yourself?
I'm doing awesome. Awesome, awesome.
All right. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Becca.
I am a amateur disc golf player, one step below pro. I'll probably be pro by next year. I'm going to Worlds this year in July. Been playing for about 20 years. I also am president of Next Level Disc Golf Apparel. We have men and women's clothing. We have our second lady shirt coming out at the beginning of May. Yeah, I do a lot of things. I'm a very busy person. That's what I got going on right now. I have a tournament I'm playing this weekend, tomorrow and Sunday, so got to get my rest tonight.
We appreciate your time and appreciate you showing up. Let me ask you a question. For the people that don't know, what is disc golf?
Disc golf is, a lot of people know it as frisbee golf. It started in the early 70s by a guy named Steady Ed. He's the guy who pretty much invented it. But we're trying to grow the sport. It's growing every year. It's all over the world. But it's pretty much, it's like a regular frisbee, but smaller, modified, a little bit heavier. There's all different types of drivers, mid-range, putters, and it's the same idea as regular golf. Most of the courses here in Pinellas County, where I'm at, are all par 3, but a lot of courses, it's similar to regular ball golf, just a little more difficult, if you ask my opinion. But it's very fun. The family can do it. You can do it as an individual. It's competitive. It's really fun. It's for everybody.
Now, this is something that you have to train for, right? This isn't just something that anybody can do.
Well, you can do it for fun as a family, as a family thing, or you could get serious about it. Like I'm pretty serious about it. But yeah, we have clinics all over the place, all over Florida, all over the United States, where people can go out and learn how to play. There's all kinds of tutorials online. But yeah, I mean, if you're a natural competitor or you're a natural athletic person, it's going to come a lot easier to you, of course. But it's pretty easy to catch on and learn. It's a pretty easy sport to learn.
That's awesome. Now, you said you've been doing it for 20 years. Have you been doing it like hardcore for 20 years, or did you start casually?
I've been doing it hardcore for the past few years, four-ish years. And then a few years prior to that, I was serious about it. I've been a member of the Tampa Bay Disc Golf Club for at least 15 years. It's got to be. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something people got to get into. I'm glad I have this.
You travel all over the region, like all over you go outside of Florida?
Yeah, I travel all over Florida. I played the Valdosta Open in Georgia the end of last year. That was the first out-of-state tournament. And then when I go to Worlds from July 18th to July 25th, that's in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So that'll be my second out-of-state ordeal. And I'm hoping to do the Florida Tour next year, after I play the Worlds.
What has been your biggest event? I mean, what was your biggest win, I would say, like, event-wise?
I win a lot. I win first and second place a lot. So they're all special tournaments to me in different ways. They all have their own meanings. And I have friends all over the world too. I have a lot of local friends. I got friends all over Florida. So every time I go and play a tournament, I'm always seeing people I know, or seeing people that I didn't know. Knew them through Facebook, and then I get to meet them in person. And it's really great to get out and be in the game. It's really awesome.
Well, that's awesome. Now, Mike, are you guys still there? You're all pretty quiet over there.
Yeah, I'm just letting you go ahead and get all the intro stuff.
I know how you
out of the way.
should do the intro stuff, but I thought maybe you'd have some questions. Because this isn't our. Well, normally we interview musical artists for the most part, but this was a little different than our normal format. So I thought you might have some questions that,
Well, no, because actually, sadly enough, obviously, I've spoken to Beck in the past. It was a while ago, but and so I kind of already had kind of the lowdown. Obviously, I've seen a lot of her pics and stuff on Facebook and stuff, so I kind of already knew what that was about. That's why I figured I'd let you go ahead and get through the questions to kind of get the audience covered. You know what I'm saying? So that way they're kind of up to speed.
Yeah,
Now,
you can check us out on Facebook. I got I got my page, Becca Ledoux, and then I have the Next Level Disc Golf Apparel page, and then I also have, and then you can go ahead and go to Tampa Bay Disc Golf Club. That's our local club. You can check out every. I mean, and or you could go to you go to pdj.com. You can follow me at my number 3457. And follow me while I'm doing my tournaments and the worlds and my future successes.
now, JJ, you look like you had a question there.
Yeah, what got you started in disc golf?
Say that again?
Like, what got you started in disc golf?
Funny story. We have these people, well, it's usually the kids, we call them the squids, and when players' discs go in the water, the kids retrieve the disc. Well, the neighborhood at the course that I'll be playing the tournament this weekend, Cliff Stevens Disc Golf Park, I lived right behind hole 1 for the longest time when I was growing up. And I used to swim in the water and get the disc back for them, so I ended up meeting a lot of players that way. And Ken Climo, the world champ, is a very good friend of mine now because of that. He came by one day and I was swimming in the water, and I threw a disc back up to one of his buddies that I found his disc, and he goes, "You play?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "Well, get out. You're going to finish the round with us." And he taught me. No better teacher in the world than the champ himself. But ever since then, I've been playing. I was 12 years old, and I just turned 33 in February, so.
Okay, we officially have a new record. A woman admitted her age publicly. I think we need to call Guinness on this one. Alright. Now, JJ, do you have another question? Sorry about that.
So, like, what is your best round that you played? What is the best round you've ever played? Like, the best score you've ever gotten?
Oh, the best that I've ever played was the Sunshine State Shootout last year in Sarasota. It was a 2-day 3-course tournament, and it was the first time I ever shot 1 over and the first time I ever shot 1 under, and I took first place in that. And that was the best, by far, funnest and most awesome tournament I've ever played. I missed out on it this year, but yeah, that was the best.
Okay, now I know how golf works, and obviously this works like golf, but what's a common score that somebody would get, like, a good player? Whereas, go ahead.
Okay, so 18 holes. Normally an 18-hole course here where I live is 18 holes, par 3 every hole, so that's 54 would be par. So if you want to get even par, you got to get 54. And then every stroke over is over, and every stroke under is all the more better.
I meant, like, all right, in golf, if you have a 62, that's a great score. On most par 3s, is it more common to get a lower score in disc golf than say, like, normal golf, as far as like,
it's a lot.
How many hole-in-ones have you ever made?
Do I know? How many points have I made?
How many
hole-in-ones?
Hole-in-ones.
Well, none on record since I've been a PDGA member and been serious about it, but in my entire life I've had 13. I've had 13 aces so far.
See, now there are whole professional golfers that have never got a hole-in-one in their life. Like in regular
I know.
golf. That's why I asked.
I have fairway aces too for my my upshot for my birdie. Yeah, I've had some pretty epic birdie fairway aces too. I always have tricks up my sleeve, especially in tournaments. I just turn it on. I get in the zone. Like if I play recreationally for fun, or I go out on the weekends and play the handicaps at our local club, and of course, I just play for fun. I mean, I always play for fun, but that's it's not as competitive and serious with friends hanging out and whatnot. But then when I get into tournaments, I don't know, just turn something on and go, and it's crazy. It's crazy awesome.
Well, that's awesome. Any more questions? Any questions from the listeners? Justin, just reload any questions into the chat from the listeners that may have questions. All right, there is none currently, but I'm sure there will be. They always come up at the end. So, what we'll do is for the next segment of the show, we'll keep you here with us, but we're going to we go through some musical. That's what we do. We debate music, and we'll get your opinion on things and hear what you think about the music and topics that we discuss.
All right, awesome. That'd be awesome.
Oh, okay.
Good. I can.
There you go. All right. This week, since Josh is obviously quiet for a moment, last week we were discussing the fact that we would cover the 10 most controversial rock musicians according to JJ's YouTube poll video, and we had the list a few minutes ago, but we had some technical difficulties, so we kind of lost the list. But I recall at least a few of them. I want to start with the one that probably no one remembers because I damn sure don't. Does anyone here remember Gary Glitter?
Gary Glitter, never heard of that guy.
Yeah, anyone?
Nope.
Anyone?
Nope.
No. Okay.
No idea.
Okay, so I guess we can scratch him off the list. I think that he shouldn't have been on the list, not because
Because
he
too
was
controversial. Nobody's heard of him.
Say, well, that's what I'm saying is, actually.
Tell him to piss on the Alamo. People will remember that.
Oh no! Trust me. What I went ahead and I did a lookup on him because I figured, like me, that no one remembered Gary Glitter. No, I can see why he was controversial. He was glam rock in the '70s, which is pretty impressive in and of itself, and pretty much doomed to failure. But he also got into a lot of problem because of child pornography.
Okay, no. That's definitely controversial.
Yeah,
that certainly qualifies.
In '99, he was sentenced to 4 months imprisonment and listed as a sex offender in the UK.
Oh, he didn't do this in the '70s. He did this in the '90s.
'90s, yeah.
Oh, it was legal by then. I mean, at least in the '70s, it wasn't illegal.
Right, it wasn't illegal until the early '80s.
I think '83 or something.
82 or '83, yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, Jesus, that's crazy.
He was also charged with having sex with an underage girl. From around 20 years earlier.
Yeah, but so did like R. Kelly. You know what I'm saying? They don't never charge him with nothing big like that. You know?
Yeah, except for the difference is he was acquitted of one of the charges, but he also got busted for where was it at? He got busted for having sex with a girl under the age of 13.
Whoa, that's low.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand in a way that I can understand in a way, those groupies coming up, they're 14 to 16, they're pretending to be older. You get a little suckered, but under 13, I find it hard to believe that he was not aware of that.
No, I get, the controversial stuff like, Mike Tyson raping a girl. They get mad about Michael Vick shooting a dog, and over here we got this guy, he's a pedophile. There's a hell of a difference there in that, That's a massive difference.
Say, yeah.
There's no excuses for pedophilia.
And say, yeah, especially, like I said, I get the 16-year-old, I thought she was older. I've heard that one. I've actually seen that one firsthand. But under 13...
See, no, but that was Jerry Lee Lewis's, but they didn't take it in the same manner. It was his 14-year-old cousin at that.
Yeah.
Jerry Lee Lewis back then, if the parent consented, then it was okay. I mean, nowadays, it doesn't matter what the parent says. Under 16, that's...
Right, but should the law change the morality of it? I mean, just because the law allows it at one point, it doesn't allow it at another point. I don't think that changes the morality of it.
No, it doesn't change the morality of it, but that's just a mindset back then. We've come so far since then, and now, we've all, pretty much been pre-programmed to, what's now. So, I mean, I don't personally agree with it.
No, I can kind of see where you're coming from. Obviously, I mean, heck, if you think about it, it wasn't even what it wasn't even just over 100 years ago that getting married at 14 was considered kind of a norm. There were people
in some states with polygamy, with the polygamists and all that crap. They do that. They get their children, their daughters married young and have them pushing out babies. You know what I mean? Having 15 babies by the time they're 30 years old. You know, that's just a sick way to live. That's just, you know.
Well, I don't know. Like he was talking back then. You know, they had I think it was 16. I mean, 13 was common to marry, but they usually married men average age of 30. Accomplished men that could take care of their daughters. I think it was more of a I'm doing what's best for my daughter type thing. Whereas nowadays it's just kind of sick. I don't know. I guess times change.
Yeah, but like I said, this guy, we're talking last year. We're not even talking 30, 40, 70 years ago. I mean, we're talking...
Right.
Now, admittedly, one of them, like I said, the one charge was actually that he did it during the 70s. I didn't know that he didn't have a statute of limitations over there, which I'm guessing they don't.
England?
Yeah, it was over in England.
No, that can change things too. You know, different countries have different standards to that stuff. You know?
Yeah, but I'll tell you this: that wasn't the only place. Apparently, he got busted in some other places. For example, he lived in Cambodia until 2002, but he was kicked out and banned from the country.
Wasn't that where they all go for that stuff, like Cambodia?
Yeah. Well, that's the
He needs to rot. He needs to be put away, and he needs.
Well, you'll be happy to know he got 16 years. And
That's it.
That's basically the rest of his life, though.
Actually, right. I would say not only is that the rest of his life, but actually, there is a cap in a lot of those countries, like in England and in Norway, even for murder, the maximum you can get is 21 years. 21 years is the maximum prison sentence you can get. And so he got close to the max, and at age 70, he's not coming back out.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, and like I said, over here he wouldn't have got anything because we have statute of limitations. So therefore, he would have got zipped for that because all that happened in the 80s.
And I don't get it because it's the only kind of rape that has a statute of limitation. Most rape charges don't have that statute of limitation. So Anyway, definitely controversial. I don't know if it ranked number 10. I think I would have moved it further up the list. But...
Actually, he wasn't number 10. He was like number 3.
Oh,
but
okay.
I wanted to get him off the list because the other ones everyone here will know.
Okay.
Him, it was like, I'm doing the list out of order because I'm doing it based on what we'll have to say about it, but I figured that was pretty much all there was to say about him. It was like, oh my god, dude's a douche and a pedophile. Okay, then move on. Next is obviously, I'm going to go ahead and do King of Rock and Roll. Elvis Presley.
His scandals involved a similar thing. I think she was 16.
He actually had a few like that, but once again, like I said, now we're talking when they start deciding to go to him and claim to be older.
That's true too. I guess there's an effect of that. You go in a bar and the girl gets in with her fake ID, and then you're that's questionable. I can understand why that could be a problem. I mean, you're honest, a bona fide mistake, I guess is what you would really call it.
Right. And so that's a little bit of a difference, but of course that wasn't even the most controversial thing he did. The most controversial thing he did would, by today's standard, be the least controversial thing he did.
Shaking his hips
on television in front of young ladies. He actually was. He was actually only allowed to be filmed from the waist up. He was not allowed to show his hips because it was too dirty.
Hey, there's a whole lot of shaking going on. But no, that's definitely. I mean, I can see where it would be controversial today. I don't see where it would mean much today. Today's standards are like, why even bother mentioning it?
Well, you've got to figure another thing he did was controversial. Like I said, by today's standard, it isn't controversial. He was white. He was white doing black people's music.
That's true too.
Honestly, that was a huge thing. I mentioned it on a previous one. That according to the moral basically compasses of the time, he was way outside of their comfort zone. And like I said, he was quoted as doing, and I'm quoting, nigger music. That was actually, he has actually been insulted for that because that was just not right. A white guy doing black people music. It's, it was just something that was pretty much unheard of at the time. Add to that the power rate and the dancing.
Well, they always, and as far as controversy goes in music, it's always that they sold their soul. Jerry Lee Lewis, Chuck Berry, didn't matter who it was, they all sold their soul to rock and roll. It was like, who said that? But no, it's I can see where it's controversial, and then they demonize the person, and how much of it's made up. Like obviously the ones that slept with people, that's kind of verifiable, but some of the controversies are more made up than anything else.
Well, actually, I'll put a perspective because you mentioned the drug abuse. During the 20s and 30s, there was actually a huge cocaine and crack problem.
A morphine problem too.
Yes, opium dens were rampant, especially during the Depression, because at that point, I mean, everyone just basically wanted to forget what they could when they could. We think about it in modern terms where we have rehab and stuff, but those things didn't even exist at the time. Rehab was basically someone pulled you out of the gutter and basically just didn't let you go back to that place. Instead, you did the drug they were doing.
Mama kicked your ass type stuff.
And so, and he actually had bouts of depression, which is something a lot of people don't realize, because you think about all the glitz and the glam, and you think that he was one of those guys that just got really big and then exploded and then went nosediving. But actually, he had a lot of personal problems.
He was a war vet, wasn't he? I mean, that might have something to do with his drug problem.
You figure, small town boy. Oh, go ahead, Becca. I apologize, didn't hear you.
Yeah, you just gotta shout in there. That's
because he said because he was in the service, and he's right. He probably was suffering from PTSD.
In addition to that, well, I don't know if y'all know this or not. He was actually a twin.
I did not know that.
Yeah, his brother died during childbirth or right after childbirth, and he actually always felt guilty because here you have his twin. Literally, the family had to bury him in a cardboard box. They had to bury the twin in a cardboard box because they were broke, they were destitute, and so here he is making millions of dollars, and he turns around. His twin's lying in a cardboard box, and from what I hear, that actually has always eaten at him. Those little things like that were actually more important to him than people realize, because obviously he always had to put on the king of rock and roll facade.
Sure, you gotta be the man that they expect you to be when you're on stage.
Exactly.
They're paying for a persona of you rather than you.
And so,
you ever feel that way, Becca? That people only like the persona of you rather than the real you? Is my mic off?
No, I hear you.
Talking to me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that way with people that like the persona of you rather than the actual you?
I put myself off the same everywhere I go, whether it's disc golf or it doesn't matter where I go. I'm always the same. I'm always the same. Everybody knows what I'm about. If they know me, they know what I'm about. And if they don't know me, they learn real fast.
Although, actually, that leads to an interesting question. Does disc golf have groupies? I mean, obviously not groupie because we tend to use that word specifically for musicians, but everywhere ends up with a following
fanatical
with
fans,
wide-eyed, right, warm-handed mouth breathers. I'm a nerd, so obviously.
Most definitely, yeah.
So you get guys and girls that are just like fawning all over you when you go places because you're pro?
Not quite like that, but there are people that come out, if the champ's playing the tournament, or Johnny McRae, or anybody who's higher up in the disc golf chain.
It's die hard.
Yeah, their autographs, want to sign discs, want to sign shirts. I've seen people have their children signed by professional disc golf players. I've seen people get their cars signed by. I mean, it's not quite crazy like a musician groupie, but there are disc golf groupies, yeah.
Do you have that #1 fan that follows you to all your tournaments that is there everywhere?
And don't say your mom or your boyfriend or your girlfriend.
Like
an actual.
Yeah, I do have a #1 fan. Her name is Cheryl Lynn. She's on my Facebook friends list on Facebook. Cheryl Lynn, my rider guy.
See.
Does that ever bother you that you have that kind of fanatical fan? I mean, does it feel like a stress or a burden to perform?
No, not at all, because it's a dream of mine that I've been pursuing for a long time. I've set goals for myself. I've accomplished those goals, and things just keep getting better. And that old saying, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. So, I mean, I'm just having fun with it. I mean, yeah, it's a little stressful at times, just in the crunch time before tournaments like right now. Yeah, I'm a little nervous, but once I get out there, I mean, like I said, something turns on in me, and I get in the zone, and I just go.
And to V Girl, yeah, that is actually a common problem. I figure I saw the thing, so she said a lot of singers and actors have massive depression. Um, that is true. That is a common problem with anyone who's constantly basically feeling the stress of being in the limelight a lot. As a matter of fact, that's kind of what I was going to ask you is knowing that you have fans, knowing that you have diehards out there that count on you in a way, like you basically they have this vicarious love of you. Does that make you feel humbled, or is it something that you're like, you know what, I've always deserved this, so it's about time someone started seeing what I got?
Both. I feel both ways. I feel flattered and humbled, and I feel like I'm starting to get some recognition for what I put out there. I'm getting a little dose of karma. I put so much good out into the world. I mean, disc golf is just one of the great things that I do.
Have you ever crossed over, got egotistical about it?
Do what now?
Have you ever crossed over? I mean, a lot of times, especially under the due stresses and things like that, the crossing the line over to where.
Have you ever acted like a diva?
Yeah. Have you ever acted like a diva?
Out on the course?
Oh, just in front of your fans, kind of hogging the limelight.
No. No. I mean, I know I'm awesome, and they know that I know I'm awesome. We all know that we're awesome, so there's no trying to hog anything or trying to be a diva about it. It's just and being awesome at what we do. It's just
okay, there was way too many awesomes in there.
Yeah, I was thinking
there's an ego there somewhere.
Right, I was saying spoken like a diva. Got it.
Mr. FTFO, we call him JJ. JJ, he's Huge's biggest fan, right? And I swear to this day that he's Huge's biggest fan. And he's like, if he could chase him around, he would, But do you have anybody you're fanatical about like that, Mike?
Oh man, how much time you got?
That many?
I told you I'm a nerd. I got everything I do 115%. And so therefore, I mean, I can name a list. You'd have to honestly, if you wanted me to have a list that could fit in this show, you'd actually have to give me a category.
Well, we're not giving you a whole show, Steve.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you give me a category, and I can name who I'm fanatical about.
My ego's way too big to hear you talk for a whole hour.
Oh, trust me, I've heard you talk. I know. But obviously, I have to name categories. Obviously, there's nerdcore artists, there's programmers, there's actors, there's authors. There's you name a category, and hell, in music alone, you would actually have to name pretty much every category, and I'll tell you who I like in it, who the people are that I would follow, buy all their CDs, and sit there and daydream about meeting. So. Let's see here. We'll go on to the next one. We'll go ahead and get the easy ones out. Ozzy Osbourne.
Love him.
Okay. Now, what do they consider to be his? Because he has so many controversy. Well, Piss on Alamo was a pretty big one, but that's not his only controversy that he has.
Well, it would be biting the head off
of a bat. Yeah.
Actually,
pretty
that's a mythical one.
No. It is not mythical. It's incorrect. He used to bite the heads off of rubber bats on stage, and that's all they were rubber bats. But what happened was, obviously, he went up there and he was always so trashed that he had no idea what was going on. And one time, a fan actually threw a live bat up on stage, or half dead rather, and he grabbed it up like he did the rubber ones, and he bit the head off of it. He said he didn't realize what happened until he felt blood on his chin, and even then, by then it was a little too late. Yeah, so that's actually, it is correct, but him biting heads off of bats is not correct. He did it one time because he was always so out of it, drugged up and drunk.
Yeah, it was a fluke.
That's like
mistake.
The Dove thing. Has everyone ever seen anything that he did from like the late 80s on? He always had the picture of him with the dove. That's an interesting story as well. Once again, always in his drugged out, drunk state. He goes in to kind of renew his contract, and he thinks he's going to show off. So he had obviously, the releasing doves and stuff like that, so he had this great idea. He was going to stand there in the thing the whole time instead of sitting, and then when he actually signed the contract, so he was going to release a dove from his pocket. Well, as anyone who knows birds, doves don't travel well in pockets. And so here he goes. He signs his contract. And he's standing there, and he reaches into his pocket, and he throws this dove, and it lands on this table. It's this dead dove laying on the table. And it became kind of a thing that once again, the rumors fly about why he did it. It was really just a drunken, stupid mistake. But that's actually why you see him in the pictures, like where he's eyeing it and stuff, like the one where he's sitting there and he's got the one on his leg and he's eyeing it and stuff. That's actually where all that came from, was that situation.
Sorry.
That's all right. I was just going to got quiet.
Well, you stopped talking. Hey, get it in while you can, because once I start talking.
What about the whole kids that committed suicide listening to his music?
That actually was a symbol of the 80s, because of Metallica and a lot of other ones. There's actually a thing of Dee Snider speaking on behalf of them. He was actually very intelligent about it, pointing out the fallacies with the...
You're talking about the Senate Select Committee hearings with WASP and all them.
Yes. Obviously, WASP was there. Like I said, Dee Snider was probably the most prolific speaker, though. But Metallica was accused. A lot of people were basically saying that rock and roll was causing these kids to be depressed. I even remember a similar thing in the early 90s. They had this article, 5 out of 5 kids who kill like Slayer. No joke. Basically, they interviewed 5 kids who had committed murder and asked them if they like Slayer, and all of them said yeah. And so they tried to draw this causal link that Slayer was what made them do it. Although the information in the article actually would state the opposite. They like Slayer, and you should use that as an indication, not 100% that your kid is going to kill somebody, but rather that they may be going through a turmoil, because everything that they indicated, the kids already felt like that, and Slayer just kind of identified with them what they already felt, not vice versa.
Okay, yeah, but, like, alright, first of all, I'm glad that Bruce Dickerson wasn't the one headlining the Senate Select Committees on rock and roll, or it would have been banned forever ago. Tipper Gore would have had everything over.
That's funny.
But, you know, and it all started because Tipper Gore got mad over her kids listening to it, you know, whatever. But, you know, and because when Watts got up there, they're like, hey, you know, they're like, what does WASP mean? They're like, WASP? What do you mean? It's a wasp. You know, they weren't going to tell them what it really meant. They're like,
Actually, do you know that WASP actually doesn't mean anything? They actually backport all those answers just to shock you.
Sure. It didn't mean anything when they started as WASP.
Well, that's what I mean.
It started to build a connotation later, but long before the Senate Select Committees, when it did mean something. But, you know, of course, they're sitting there in front of the senator, so, like, it just means WASP. Well, you know, nothing. You know, because they're trying to downplay it, just like, you know, rather than trying to upplay it in the Senate Select Committees, they were the first time they're trying to downplay rock and roll. But,
V-Girl was actually kind of asked the question, wonder if it's true that all the drugs he'd taken over the years altered his body chemistry.
I doubt it. It doesn't do it anybody else.
Well, no, actually, it does. Everything you take in your body alters it to some degree.
I think she's meaning on a genetic level more so.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Actually, there was actually a recent study that said that women actually, their genetics actually alter slightly for each man whose semen they actually have inside them.
Yes, and there was a study that said 5 out of 5.
Yeah, kids who kill. But no, my point being that the scientific study basically anything you take into your body does slightly alter genetic. Now, not enough that I think it would matter. You know, like it's not gonna. You know, he's not some kind of mutant running around or nothing. Or it's not like he has a hormonal imbalance now because of it. But
we didn't go any extra appendages. I'm pretty sure.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. This didn't fall out. But what I mean, though, is technically years of that would actually, for example, people who are longtime drug addicts tend to they don't produce enough serotonin.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's British, V-Girl. That's probably where you're confused there. The ugliness and the teeth, he's British. You know what I'm saying?
Don't hate on the British. Don't hate on the British. My old man's...
Oh, I've offended somebody. Score 1 for me. Put it up in the column.
I say what we should start keeping a list of that. No, because then we'll end up like Howard Stern.
How did earlier you get to say the word nigger and it's just blowed over completely? But I say something about British people and suddenly I'm an ass.
Well, it's because it's all about who's listening to you. It's all about who's listening. She's with the British guy.
Hold on, is he real British or British Canadian?
Oh no, he's British. He's a U.S. citizen now, but he's British. He's
Okay,
British as all.
we don't like Canadians. I don't like Canadians.
You hear that, Justin?
You heard that, Justin? No, but no. I
Well,
really don't care if
speaking-
it's British or somebody. But...
Say, speaking of the British, we'll go with the next one, John Lennon.
Oh, okay. Well, controversy. Gee, that man strives for controversy.
Yeah, but I don't think we should hold Yoko Ono against him, really.
Oh, you cannot deny the Japanese. And she was ugly. And there's not too many ugly Japanese women. So I thought that was his goal. Think about it. How many pretty Japanese women are there out there? None of them look like Yoko Ono. I'm thinking she was Mongolian or something. You know?
That's funny. Say, well, no, but seriously though, the
Oh,
funny
you're
thing
talking
is,
the music was offensive.
well, no, I'm
I heard
assuming
you're saying.
he was actually offensive, but I only can think of two things that he did that would be even shocking to the sensibilities of the time.
The Jesus comment.
The one we mentioned before, which is the "We're bigger than Jesus," and the only other one is actually some of the imagery he used on which album was it? The Abbey Road album? Was that the one that had like Aleister Crowley and a lot of other people like that on there?
Abbey Road's the one where they're walking across the street. If I'm not
Okay,
mistaken.
which one is it that has the Aleister Crowley and it has like basically kind of a collage of personalities, and some of those could have possibly have been considered offensive at a time.
I don't know of any album cover that had that.
Okay, I could
Maybe an insert, but not the album covers. I know the Beatles pretty well, and
Yeah.
now maybe on his
Asking you.
personal, because I don't listen to John Lennon after he left the Beatles. I listen to every single one of the other Beatles after he left the Beatles, but not John Lennon. I
I
like it sucked. He basically became an early punk artist in the sense that they're like, let's make this loud and obnoxious without having any real fucking harmony, you know. And I believe you can have like your point on techno music. You can have harmony in noise art.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
can be methodical. It doesn't have to be chaotic to be noise art.
So yeah, well, that's what I've often said. Okay, here it goes. The Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was the album.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yep, he is one of the included figures on the cover of the Beatles album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. I knew it was on one of them, and that's what I was saying.
That's a
Is
silhouette. It's hard to tell, you know.
that I can kind of get where that might be shocking to certain people, but that's about it. I mean, I can't really think of something he did that I mean, even their version of long hair wasn't long. Even by the standard of the day, there was already people that were starting to have longer hair than that. I can't think of something that really, I mean, some of the undertones of the albums are the songs, obviously, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, things like that. But nothing overt, nothing that would be shocking.
Okay, now you got me over here looking for Aleister Crowley in this thing.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, too. 'Cause I'm
Like, where's he at? Do you find where the fuck is Waldo? Where's Aleister? I see the striped shirt. There's Waldo.
But like I said though, that's but I can't. I mean, I don't know why he was listed on the list. If any of our people that are fans of Beatles might know, what would, then feel free to chat in. Actually, I don't know. About gay men receiving the sperm as opposed to women. I assume that it actually had something to do with the receptivity, the fact that it was actually but I didn't actually read the full report. It was actually a scientific report, and unfortunately, unless something's really interesting on those, I can't read because they're usually 200-300 pages long. So I couldn't say. I don't even know if they tested for that. There's a I'm part of a group or a newsletter for.
I don't need anything bigger than a postcard.
Well, I say I'm in a group for biotechnology and genetics, like a newsletter group for that, and they were the ones who sent out the reports. Every once in a while, one of them that's kind of cool catches my eye, and that was interesting, but not enough to bother reading all the way through it. I just saw the tidbit on it. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool.
I have to read a lot in my debates. I do a lot of online debating, and I really don't care the topic. Oh, I do care the topic. I mean, there are topics that I favor over other ones, but I don't care which side I am in on the topic. I really don't care. I'll come in on whatever side seems like the most combative. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, trust me, I know.
Then I'll try to dig up stuff just to argue my point, and then I got to remember that I'm not really right. I'm just
found him.
Good job of arguing. Where's he at?
I found Waldo. He is actually if you're on the top left, he's the second one in. The bald-headed dude right next to the dude with the bushy beard. And
I don't see. I see. On the top left?
Top left, you'll see a dude with a bushy beard first, and then you see the bald-headed dude. That bald-headed dude is Aleister Crowley.
Oh, okay. I guess it kind of looks like him. It's hard to tell from.
Yeah.
Regular,
Well, I mean, I had to kind of zoom it in. Actually, I had to keep looking back and forth between that and a picture of him just to
yeah, but I never would have guessed that. And so somebody had to do some real fucking detective work, especially without the internet to look on, to realize that was Aleister Crowley.
Oh, yeah.
Big fucking Crowley fan. So I don't know why they're complaining.
Oh, no. Like I said, though, like I said, that was the only thing I could even think of that was controversial about him.
Well, like we were talking about earlier with Tipper Gore, how much metal did she have to listen to find out which metal bands were the ones that...
Oh, no, she didn't. She didn't. All she had to actually do was just go through her kids' album collection and decide which ones she didn't like.
Well, based on the cover?
Cover, whether they screamed a lot, the basic things that old people do when the kids like something they don't. Let's see here. We'll go on to another one. We'll go and, like I said, get all the easy, normal ones out of the way. Marilyn Manson.
Okay, now that guy... All right. He was definitely controversial, especially early on.
Yeah, during the Portrait of an American Family era.
Sure, and that rung in a new era for weird.
I think Becca said something. Did you say something, Becca?
No.
Do you like Marilyn Manson?
Do I have to admit it?
Sure.
Why? I like Marilyn Manson. I've listened to him.
This is a safe space.
I like his old...
Well, how old are we talking? Antichrist Superstar, Portrait of American Family, or Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids?
Yeah, I like Antichrist Superstar.
Okay. Because to me, like I said, I actually have his home tapes, which is actually really lame, by the way. If you ever get a chance to listen to it, don't. And then I actually have some old Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids, and then of course Portrait of American Family on up through the one where he's whining about Rose McGowan leaving him. Heart something, I don't remember what it's called. I quit listening to him after Valley of the Shadow of Death, I think, is the last one I actually gave really any care about, because that one was an amazing album.
I think Vo Devil was the last song I liked.
Oh, that one, yeah. Golden Age of the Grotesque was a good album because he did a really good concept.
Yeah, he did. And that,
I forgot about that.
As far as this controversy, I mean, what about Marilyn Manson doesn't scream controversy? It's like Guar or any other band. They're like, if we're not getting controversy, we're not doing our job. I don't, every show and everything was about controversy.
I was surprised that Gore didn't get mentioned, dude, in that whole thing. You know what I mean?
Actually, I agree. But I think that
the dick sucking rumor where he removed his rib to suck his own dick, but that was just a rumor. That really wasn't.
Actually, interesting enough, that rumor actually predated Marilyn Manson. Molly Hatchet's drummer was accused of the same thing.
Apparently, I would like to see the plastic surgeon just removes ribs and lips.
That's right. That's a common thing that happens to stars. They're like, I've got too many ribs. I can't even go down on myself. This really sucks. Let's go ahead and see if there's a plastic surgeon who handles this.
All right, but that's just too much money. If you can convince a doctor to risk his career so that you can remove a rib to self-please. By the way, I'm not arguing. If you can get that done and can self-please, it would make masturbation at a whole new fun level. I have no complaint about it. Ain't nothing wrong with a man trying to suck it. You can reach, be my guest. But not all of us can reach.
Ask Dante and Randall.
Guy's a perv because he tries to go down on himself. What?
Sorry. Well, that's a lot. The funny thing is, a lot of the things that he was controversial for, though, especially during just after Portrait of an American Family. During the Smells Like Children and then into Antichrist Superstar, a lot of that was people that basically they would say something in jest and people would take it serious because they were so weird. Like for example, there was a thing. Oh, he's getting breasts. That actually came from an interview where him and Twiggy were in there, and Twiggy was trying to act cool, and of course, so every time he'd say something that was mock cool, Marilyn Manson would turn it around into something twisted. And so during the interview, they're like, what's next for Marilyn Manson? And Twiggy's like, large tits. And so Marilyn was like, on us. And so like that became a rumor. Oh, they're getting breast implants. Like, you obviously don't get humor. If you thought that's what to take away from that, then you obviously don't get humor.
Okay, every from the he slaughtered a goat on stage to... But I don't think that was controversial by that point. It just didn't matter as much. to me, controversial was more about the Jesus Beatles issues, in my opinion. That would far outrank Marilyn Manson in the because it highly offended people. Where there was no Senate Select meetings about Marilyn Manson slaughter or FBI investigations involved in it. Jim Morrison would have far exceeded Marilyn Manson in weird, especially for the day.
Let's say. Yeah, Jim Morrison, yeah, because he lived weird. He didn't have stage persona of weird. As a matter of fact, from what I understand, that was actually one of the things that Brian Warner, the actual, the guy behind Marilyn Manson, what he actually got upset
Not
about.
to be confused by the other Brian Warner.
Right, not to be confused with Brian Warner from Vital Remains. Yeah. But from what I understand was she. Now, of course,
you're making me dizzy, Becca, with your camera.
This is just rumor, so I can't speak to the authenticity of it. But more or less, she wanted him to be Marilyn Manson all the time. She seemed to get excited by him being Marilyn Manson, and so when he was just Brian Warner, she got bored with him from it.
You talking about Rose McGowan?
Yeah, she basically wanted him to be that guy all the time, and to him, he's actually a nerd and kind of a recluse.
That is the problem with fan romance, too. Rose McGowan, she was a fan of Marilyn Manson before she was interested in him romantically. So she was interested in Marilyn Manson, not Brian Warner, and that's easy to do. I feel that way because I was actually explaining to my girl, because my favorite actress, as far as that I would like, if I had a chance to hook up with, it would be Emily Perkins. I love that girl. And, but Kim's like, well, would you leave me for her? I'm like, no, I wouldn't leave you for her. And she's like, why? I was like, because that's not really who she is. She isn't that girl that I see on the TV. She's a Canadian, for one.
Let me see, what was I going to say? There's, funny enough, I will give Marilyn Manson one thing that I think that he did that was actually really, really controversial.
Going to church?
No, early on in his thing, he was up on stage, and I guess he went down on, I want to say it was Twiggy. He did it on one of the band members. And afterwards, because his parents were in the audience, afterwards he actually went up to his parents, and he's like, hi, Mom, Dad, this is the guy whose dick I just sucked. All right, even if I don't care if I were performing with the Genitorturers, I don't care if I were performing with Lords of Acid. The fact of the matter is, I might do something crazy on stage.
I forgot about Genitorturers.
Yeah, Genitorturers, Lords of Acid, all those guys.
Dead Milkman. Ooh.
Oh, yeah, but that wasn't really controversial. They're just a good band.
No, but I didn't think of it, so.
I would still not go to my parents and be like, hey, guess what I just did, Mom and Dad? I'd be like slinking off backstage until they forgot about it, like, I'm not going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the most controversial thing you've ever done, Miss Ledoux?
No. Let's not. Well,
I can ask her, what?
Huh?
I'm not asking for a video of it.
No, but you're asking her to announce basically for the posterity of all the internet to do these things. And
it's her call. I'm not gonna make her do it. This is not a live interview.
It is a live interview. Instead,
it's not live in the sense that I can't twist her arm.
No, but what you do instead is you ask her if she'd like to reveal that, because in all honesty, I don't want her to do it because of social pressure. I am not a fan of that.
What are you talking about? That's what interviews are. There's a series of social pressures getting people to talk about things that otherwise they wouldn't talk about.
We're debating music, not debating each other's little problems. Come on, guys.
JJ, if you don't want to announce that you're coming out, just don't announce it. Nobody said anything to you.
That's all right. That's a whole different issue of Trapped in the Closet.
JJ's stuck in the closet.
Have anything that's ever been controversial? Really?
By modern standards or any standards?
No.
I mean, obviously, the guy that does it doesn't think it's controversial.
Right? Yeah. I say.
I mean, if you knew of some of the things that I've done, there might be some controversy over it, but I keep things hidden.
Well, that's the point. Yeah, is because, which is why, like I said, I don't think it's an idea to get into that, because that's like, you ever heard that game I Never?
Yeah.
Okay, I've never won that game. All right.
Wow, there's your first one. You don't have to drink.
Right, yeah, exactly. Basically, I have never won that game, not once in my life. because it all starts out fine because I can do things like I've never driven a car on an interstate, but it always turns to sex, and as soon as that happens, man, I am so screwed. I'm like, I'm out. I'm done. I'm not playing this game anymore. So,
the goat asked me to keep it.
So, well, you know, I believe in discretion. So therefore, you know, like I said, never been ashamed of all the things I've done in my bedroom, but they're just gonna stay there. Just that's where they go.
Okay, JJ, what controversial thing would you like to tell us?
Certain people
I don't.
Hold on, Becca's trying to say something, but it's cutting out.
I said I agree with you. I like discretion as well. But if it's people that I trust, you know, I live certain lifestyles. You know, I have my
well, who doesn't trust the internet?
Exactly. I'm just saying, you know.
It's
there's
all
people. So, but I don't seek that. I don't want controversy. You know, if I let a cat out of the bag, I expect the people that I confide in to be either all for it or support it, not against it. You know, or I tell them advice.
Okay, well, letting the cat out of the bag is not the same as telling someone you confide in. Just to let you know, letting the cat out of the bag is unintentional. I only say that because your statement when you said letting the cat out of the bag, you expect them to support. I'm like, why? Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, even if they, you know, I guarantee that if I let cats out of the bags, I'm pretty sure that people will be like, dude, that's not even right.
I worded that wrong.
You are no longer related to me, sir.
That's all right. I've been trying to get rid of that for a while anyway.
Let some more cats out.
The one time at band camp.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
That's okay. I've never been to band camp. Couldn't afford it. I had to do all mine in the back bedroom.
I had to fuck myself with the flute on my private spreadsheet.
Exactly. My flute. It was a recorder because I couldn't afford the flute.
Yeah, recorder. We're poor, you know.
Had a recorder, acoustic guitar, and a harmonica. You figure out what I did with it yourself.
Okay, now what's the next on the list?
Okay, now we're getting into the ones that are a little more interesting, in my opinion. Lenny Kilminster.
What's controversial about him? No offense, but what is his controversial story? Because I wouldn't know it other than, you know, it was a shock rock in a way band, but not even so much like Marilyn Manson shock rock.
No, actually, I think that's the difference, and why he seemed more controversial is because you could actually mistake what he said for being something serious, and you might even take it as serious, and he might even mean it as serious. But the difference, I think, is because when you look at Lemmy, you don't see Marilyn Manson's get up. You see a dude who looks like a regular biker guy. And so you're like, okay, well, whatever he says out of his mouth is probably hardcore serious, and so it's not hard to believe. Whereas Marilyn Manson, you could tell he's a stage artist. You know, he's basically a theater camp guy, and so that makes a huge distinction. So you know, Lemmy talks about liking the Nazis and having all the Nazi paraphernalia, and then all of a sudden everyone's up in arms about it. Why? Because they're thinking, well, he probably really does do that. Plus, his aren't as over-the-top outrageous as a lot of the shock guys, I think.
Because they were more subtle, you think, is more the controversial?
I think that made it a lot more controversial, yeah. Because, you know, if you're like, Marilyn Manson doing the Golden Age of the Grotesque, and he actually did use a lot of Nazi symbology and stuff, then it's like, oh, well, that's because he's doing the whole 1930s, 1940s thing. Lemmy goes, I like Nazi paraphernalia, and you're like, oh my God, that guy's a bastard. Because really, as far as I can tell, that's really the only thing that I can think of that he did that was really controversial by today's standards. He's actually a pretty, normal dude, and for the most part, a little crazy.
Alcoholic.
Oh, you mean like everyone else we mentioned on the list?
Yeah, there's somebody in Hollywood who doesn't have a drinking problem.
But in that video, they named that specifically that he drinks like fucking Jack Daniels all day long, all night long, all the time.
I think Zach Wilde does that with Black Label.
Yeah, see, I'll tell you right now, if I could afford to, I'd probably do a Scotch. Probably a good green label, white label, and do it. Say it like Ron White did. This right here is the kind of Scotch that people drink when they're gonna die penniless.
Well, look, think about by the way, you got another bridge on there. You noticed that, right? I'm just saying. Alright, but with Motorhead and stuff like that, I don't think his especially with drinking. I mean, that's something you would expect of a heavy metal band. You know, if he ain't drinking, he's doing something wrong.
Say, yep. No, that's I would say. I mean, the way I see it is, man, if I live to be 69 and can still drink like that, then I'm doing something right.
So,
Yeah, why not?
who do you think's the most controversial artist in history?
Tough one.
Who's your most favorite controversial artist? She's gonna say something like Radiohead or something, ain't she?
Stone Temple Pilots.
Scott Weiland.
Who's
It's like the controversy between Metallica and Megadeth or Iron Maiden.
Megadeth, yeah, because Dave Mustaine was originally a member of Metallica.
Yeah, that was probably I got sucked into that and was into that for a while. I went back and forth.
I also like the one between obviously Metallica and Guns N' Roses. That one was pretty.
Yeah.
Oh God, that was awesome, man. That was made for TV right there.
I still think Axl Rose has secured his place in history in a way that I don't feel like Metallica has yet. Actually, I think they did, and then they kind of like lost it. You know, Guns N' Roses will be one of those things that you'll always turn on. Every generation will pick it, kind of like Pink Floyd, and the next generations will pick it up on too. I'm not sure Metallica will do that.
Actually, I'm gonna tell you right now. I don't completely agree with you. I think that Guns N' Roses still has a chance to screw that up. Mainly because the reason why Metallica is because it's kind of like Aerosmith and Rolling Stones. Their early stuff everyone knows is iconic. They just run on so long and keep going for so long that eventually you're just kind of bored with them, and it's like like who? Okay,
I don't know. He's putting out a country album now. I think is his most latest album.
Well, I was say who is it that remembers Rolling Stones' last album? Go.
Jumpin' Jack Flash or whatever. Well, that was one in the '80s, right? I think the '80s was last time. But they did put out one in the '90s or 2000s.
Right. Actually, they put out. If I remember correctly, I'm gonna look it up real quick. I believe they put out a couple.
That weren't like conglomeration albums that were actually bona fide.
No. As in, I believe they put out. Let's see here.
Guns N' Roses has too, but it hasn't seemed to affect their.
There you go. In 2001, Mick Jagger released his 4th solo album. I didn't know he had 4.
Well, that's a solo though. I mean, that's actually. You may know all the Beatles albums, but you don't know all the Beatles artists' albums. You know, like George Harrison. Name a George Harrison album. You know.
Say, man, I couldn't name a Beatles album except for Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band and Abbey Road because those are about the.
Let It Be.
that wasn't the name of the album though, right?
What?
Let It Be wasn't the name of the album.
It depends on where it was.
That was the name of the single.
They had the Gold Love Songs album. What was it called? I forgot what it was called. It was all love songs that they all did. And
Somebody. Go ahead.
Say, I would say, here you go. Rolling Stones discography. They actually put out one, and actually, sadly enough, now that I see it, I actually remember this. In 1994, they put out Voodoo Lounge. In 97, they put out Bridges to Babylon, and apparently they put out one in 2005, A Bigger Bang.
I'm not saying albums don't pass you by, but just like you glossed over the Golden Age of the Grotesque, where that was a later album.
But that's kind of the thing is what I'm talking about though is Guns N' Roses. They did the whole burn out rather than fade away thing. No,
I
the
wouldn't
fact
consider
is,
them burnt out. I don't think they burned out. You know,
they went 15 years or 11 years or something like that before they put out their next album. I would say that's kind of they weren't fresh on everyone's mind. They weren't hearing them and being inundated with them day to day.
Yeah,
which
but
is what I'm getting at.
bands come back from a hiatus, a long one like that, where they'll still be, and their albums will never be what they were because it was the times that people love.
Right. I think you're missing the point of what I was talking about though. Is what I was talking about was specifically the reason why I think everyone latches on to Guns N' Roses is because their heyday is the only albums we have from them. So we don't sit there and pick apart the crap they made later. Whereas with Metallica, they made awesome albums from the beginning for a long time, but you start hearing the new stuff and you're like, okay, well this is okay, well this is okay, well this is okay, and then eventually you start thinking of them as an okay band instead of the great band that they were back when they put out Injustice and stuff like that.
ICP. Stay away, dude.
Exactly.
They're definitely controversial. You know what I'm saying?
But because they're new stuff, everyone forgets that ICP was actually once a great band, and instead they think about Bow Bang Bang, whatever the hell that one is, Bang Pow Boom or whatever it's called. And
That's Pop, Bang Pow Boom.
yeah,
Stuff.
you know, that crap. And so then you forget that they once.
I would only give one artist the ability to rehash perfectly, and that is Aerosmith. When they come out with, like, all right, they were big in the 60s, and then in the 70s, and in the 80s, when they put out Pump, that put them back at the top of the charts, and literally, and then in the 90s with being on the Armageddon soundtrack and stuff like that, every time they put out an album that, like, they'll put out some albums that nobody heard of, almost like Alice Cooper did. You know, over the years, he would put out that really great album every 3 or 4 albums, though, to keep him alive.
Yeah, but at the same time, what I mean, though, is like, Aerosmith, I can kind of agree with you in a way. But, like, for example, they don't put out good albums. They only put out good singles.
Yeah, they put one or two.
Go ahead,
Whole
sorry.
album. Yeah, they put 1 or 2 good songs in the whole album. That they keep you keep you reeled in for the next one. They only put 1 song on that one. Then they'll come out with a one with a bunch of hits.
Right. Yeah, and see, that's the thing is, because, like, for example, I don't remember Just Push Play. I don't remember Honkin' on Bobo, and I don't remember Music from Another Dimension.
You don't remember Just Push Play? That's the one you don't remember?
I don't remember any of those. I remember the name. I don't remember the songs on it. I'm assuming it's the one from Armageddon.
No, actually, I think that was the other one you put out.
But
or it was released as a single. I don't remember. Hold on.
Actually, no, I don't remember any of these songs.
Just Push Play? That should
Yeah.
have one like Angel and all that.
Nope.
Sorry.
It's got Beyond Beautiful, Just Push Play, Jaded, Fly Away Here.
Jaded.
Trip
That was
Hoppin', Sunshine, Under My Skin, Love Lies, Out of Your Head, Drop Dead Gorgeous, Light Inside, and Avant Garde.
Jaded was the one, and I think Pink is that one the one on that one. I don't know if that was one.
Nope.
Hard to remember. I just remember Jaded was one of their big hits.
Say that again.
Pink, and then Pink came out. But they were back to back, Jaded and Pink.
Pink should have been on 9 Lives, though.
Nine Lives. That sounds
Pink
right.
was on 9 Lives. That's 97.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so in the last 15 years, they put out 3 albums, and I don't know. You knew one song off one of them. You knew one song off one of them. I knew none of the songs off any of them.
Well, that just means you're not an Aerosmith fan, but.
No, actually, I actually like their old stuff, but once again, it's
Sure,
Yeah.
but I mean, like, whether you like it or hate it, it's inarguable that the Armageddon soundtrack wasn't something, and that was a more recent one. I mean, obviously it was in the late '90s, but it was fairly more recent than, say, Toys in the Attic. You know.
well, yeah, but you know what? World War II was actually more recent than the Civil War.
Don't play like that. That's messed up.
Well, I'm just saying, you're talking about, 9 Lives was literally almost 20 years ago.
What are you trying to say? I'm old. All right, but look at this one. All right, we'll start from Pump, which was their Permanent Vacation in the '80s. Pump, Get a Grip, which, by the way, 9 Lives, Just Push Play. Until that point, and I don't know what music from Don't Mention 2012, 2004. So neither of those two would be the only two that didn't have like a hit song that I'm aware of. But they both were called records. They just weren't platinum records like all the other ones.
Well, right, but what I was talking about, though, is you forget how great a band is when you hear them and you hear their okay stuff. So the fact is, Metallica stuff is still okay.
I love Metallica.
And say, you like their new stuff, like Death
Like
Magnetic?
modern Metallica?
I don't like their new stuff as much.
Right, it's just okay. And that's what I'm saying. So when you think of Metallica, you probably either think of nostalgia, the old stuff, or you think of them as an okay band.
Whoever misspelled Aerosmith should be smacked. Was that you, Justin? Or
No,
was that V-Girl?
that was V-Girl.
I don't know if you reposted it or if you just typed it out, though.
I think you just copy-paste. Yeah, see? So
Okay.
you just said you're going to smack one of our listeners. V-Girl, if you're listening to this, I'll hold him down for you because that's messed up.
I
man.
smack our listeners all the time. What are you talking about?
Let's see here. Okay, since we were already talking about, Axl Rose was on the list.
It's controversial. I guess he did push the limits of what can be put in a song.
He also, I think, pushed the limits of how you can act. Like I said, he was a real d-bag for a long time, he was probably the closest thing to a diva that I think metal has. Rock,
he put out a racist song that was a #1 hit. You know how rare that a song that had racist comments in it.
Yeah,
that was a #1 hit, and this was in the '90s, not in, you know what I'm saying, not in, I think it was '90 or '91, but this was. Obviously we expect racism in the '60s and '70s that we didn't expect today, and he put the line in there. Nobody ever said a word about it. They still played it on the radio. I don't know if they omitted the line or not.
No, actually they didn't. At least, I bet they would now, but they didn't back in the day.
But certainly at a controversial time of the '90s versus when it wouldn't have been controversial.
My thinking is I consider him controversial specifically because I don't think you're going to find another multi-platinum artist who starts a riot.
I don't know. That's what what's it called got banned from Fredericksburg for Molly Hatchet got banned for. Now obviously this is in the '70s,
right?
'70s, '80s I think they said it was, because it was 25 years when I went to the concert. They said it'd been 25 years since they've been there because they got banned for starting a riot.
Yeah, but like I said though,
and that was just for their presence. They didn't actually do anything to cause that riot.
No, that's the difference. That's the difference. I'm not saying that a riot got started because of them. I'm saying they started the riot. They incited the people. And I think that would be probably because they showed footage on that video. They actually showed footage of that thing. Because Axl Rose was actually he was the one pushing people to act that way. So that's what I was saying. I think that would be considered controversial.
Well, sure, he was definitely selling crazy. No, he was selling anger, I guess would be more than crazy. Let's smash this up. Let's trash this out. He was probably one of the first bands to be big push on smashing instruments or just going nuts. That wasn't a punk band. Punk bands got less fanfare in the '80s, but certainly had a smash 'em up attitude.
Let's see here. I'm trying to see if I can find.
Well, we mentioned punk. I believe Sid Vicious was on that.
That he is. Sid Vicious was on that list. But the funny thing is, I don't even know if you can really consider Sex Pistols and Sid Vicious, Johnny Rotten, those guys of that era, especially that wave of punk. I don't know if you can consider them to really be controversial, in the sense that a lot of these guys when they're controversial, it's because they purposely kind of set out to do something shocking. I think those guys were literally just crazy. I mean,
it was a mental default.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that era was just so fed up. It was almost more political, and I don't mean in the sense of let's change the rules and stuff like that. I think that they were just so sick of having to live by oppressive rules.
I see an inherent difference between like Black Flag and the Ramones or the Sex Pistols or people like that of the '70s.
Yeah, and so. I mean, technically, I know they were controversial because they did do lots of stuff, cutting themselves up on stage and things like that. But I don't think that I don't think you can really count that way. Like I said, I think that was just some young kid. That'd be like saying that Josh, you were controversial because you were 13 once and you used to do stupid stuff that 13-year-olds did.
I know, I did stupid stuff that 13-year-olds didn't dare to do. What are you talking about? But yeah, I get your point.
Yeah, and so to me, that I would put to the ravages of youth and being in a place where you just feel constricted. I mean, shoot, look at the long list of stuff I did.
I think people like Andy Kaufman of the era was probably more controversial than somebody like Sid Vicious.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, he pushed comedy in a way that Sid Vicious never pushed music. You know what I'm saying? Faking his own death was a big thing. Actually caused a lot of controversy. When
Machiavelli did it first.
Well, like Fritz von Erich, when he faked his death, it was the fans were pissed off when they found out it was fake. You know what I'm saying? Faking the death was a big deal. Where today, I don't even think people could fake their death because nobody cares. Everybody automatically assumes that Elvis is still alive or.
Say, I think you couldn't fake your death because of you'd fake your death and you're so hooked on Twitter that you can't get off of it long enough to pretend to be dead.
I faked my death for 15 minutes and then I had a post on Facebook.
Instagram status update: me at my funeral. Let's
Maybe
see
he
here.
just changes his Facebook to Elvis's clone. You know?
Now the next one is actually one that I think is awesome and definitely worth talking about. And Becca, definitely chime in during this one. You've been quiet, and I know that you had to at least know who some of these guys, maybe not every one of them, but you had to have opinions on some of these guys. Like, you can't tell me you never listened to God Save the Queen. Anarchy in UK.
She likes the Brits. That's
That's what I'm saying.
I listened. I
So,
British heavy metal band, SLADE. It's my dog's name as well.
let's say, but here you go.
I've heard all those names. I just don't know a lot about them to have an opinion. So
I gotcha. Well, next one, G.G. Allen. It doesn't even seem to spark recognition. Say, G.G. Allen and the Scumfucks?
no.
Oh, wow. Now, that's a guy who I think definitely deserved to be on the list.
Right.
If there was a person that I think could be considered controversial for any era, it was definitely him.
I mean, he was born Jesus Christ Allen. I mean, come on.
But G.G. Allen, because the funny thing is, he's one of the few guys that most of the rumors were at least partially true. He actually made it a point to be that guy. Now, admittedly, a lot of the stuff he sang about wasn't true. Like, he actually sang about a lot of stuff.
Sure, he bled into early days of what you would consider to be like the pioneering of like, I mean, I know he's a punk singer, but like death metal, like singing on topics such as like pedophilia or blasphemy or anything that would probably make you a black metal artist or death metal artist today.
Yeah, actually stuff that modern day death metal wouldn't even touch. Like, if you notice, I don't know if you noticed it or not, I don't hear any more grindcore or death metal songs that are about rape. Even rape of dead bodies tends to be very, very seldom in the death metal, black metal, and grindcore scene compared to what it used to be.
Well, that's why I feel like death has lost its death in the death metal category. You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
that's what happens when you want to appeal to a wider audience. Is you drop the stuff that people can't handle. So you might be willing to sing about. As a matter of fact, that's actually. Do you know that's one of my major criticisms about the album Vile by Cannibal Corpse is not the fact that George Corpsegrinder sang, although I don't think that his vocal talents were that great at the time, but rather that most of it was all about self-infliction rather than the aggression and the murder and mayhem that Cannibal Corpse has always sang about in the past. Strip, rape, strangled. And instead it's, I'm the one hurt, I'm the one tied up, I'm the one being cut apart. And, that's I didn't feel that really fit within Cannibal Corpse's very aggressive style. But G.G. Allen, he's the same guy who eat feces on stage, do heroin on stage, promised that he was going to kill himself on stage for his final performance, although he actually died of a drug overdose, I believe. So I don't think that he got a chance to do that. But he was hardcore.
Well, G.G. Allen, he was like he wore dresses to school when it wasn't cool. You know what I'm saying? He did. Yeah, he actually wore women's clothing, makeup, cross-dress. You know what I'm saying? Just to get that shock value in a time where that wasn't going to make you cool. Nowadays, you cross-dress for school, you're eccentric. Back then, you're a fucking freak, and that is the difference. If somebody looks at you and says, man, that guy's deep and eccentric, or hey, that dude's just a plain-out fucking freak.
Okay, actually, I take it back on him, because I always said that he never did his job because he didn't die the way he claimed he was going to. Technically, he did do it during a show. You went at the show. Apparently, during the second show, he actually the venue cut the power. So he trashed the area, walked across the street naked, and basically continued partying. They said he put on shorts, but he was still covered in blood and feces, partying throughout the neighborhood, and then eventually ended up at some other dude's apartment, and basically he just continued to basically party and do heroin all night until eventually he died.
Yeah, it was Johnny Puke, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I give it credit. The fact is, even though he didn't actually do it at the show got cut. He might have been willing to do it at the show. So, it's kind of like you're trying to tell your good jokes and you see the guy with the hook come on stage to pull you off. So, I no longer insult him for not living up to his word.
Well, he died relatively young, though. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But where are you going to go? You can't be an 80-year-old punk. I mean, you have to, if you're going to truly, in the way he lived and loved his career, and when I say he lived it, yeah, probably from the day he was born to the day he died, he was who he was, and who he was a real demented fucker, you know.
Say, but yeah, no, I agree with you. And like I said, that's the thing is he's actually one of the guys that I would say definitely did his part, in terms of, you know, like I said, he may have been shock rock, but he actually from start to finish he was that way all the way through. And so that will leave us with our last one, who I disagree is more controversial than him, but at the same time is really an awesome dude, just front to back, and that is Varg Vikernes.
Yes. Oh no, come on, murder as your triumphant cross the line. You can't get better than that, and we're not talking like just a drive-by shooting. Any rapper can die that way. You know what I'm saying? To go kill another artist.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think that the totality of what a lot of the other guys did trumps his one act.
I'm sorry. I would have liked to see ICP kill Eminem or Eminem kill ICP, in a sense that, all right, the smack talking is only as good as how much follow through you have with it.
Oh yeah. But what I mean though is, like, you know, for example, okay, let's go ahead and look at black metal as a whole. All right, you have Mayhem, right? Dead blows his brains out, and the other guys take pictures and you know gather some of the brains for later and take pieces of the skull, photograph it, put it on the next album cover. All right, that's hardcore. All right.
Well, I'm sure he will once he gets out. What do you get? Yeah, but think that we were talking about Norway earlier and only getting 21 years. That's
21 years. Actually, he should be almost out, because I remember him going up for parole at one point, but he was denied. Hold on one second, and he should be about out. And where's that? From '94. So like I said, he should be out soon. And because I remember a thing about him recently. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, it looks like he is out. Says he and his wife were expecting a third child after his release. He and his family settled on a small farm in Beau, Telemark, and then they later moved to Limousin in France.
He moved to France. Poor guy. He's gonna kill everybody.
Well, hopefully, in keeping with his ideology and his beliefs, hopefully, he at least actually moved to the what's it called, the Normandy part of France. Which he got arrested also in 2014 for inciting racial hatred and sentenced to 6 months of probation and a fine of 8,000 euros.
Well, you got Varg, you got Grishnik, you got Count Grishnik, and you got the start of I would say the birth of the death metal industry started with things like with Mayhem. You know what I'm saying? They were actually the first artists, but they certainly were the ones that pushed it all the way to the edge.
Well, I would say actually I can't even agree with that, just because technically they both were kind of put on simultaneously, death metal and black metal. But at the same time, black metal went a whole different way than death metal. Death metal were, like, if you ever noticed, death metal teams would be normal guys getting out their frustration. They're like, you know, just men's men getting out their frustration. Black metal was basically a bunch of guys who really were more like just like...
I don't see that. I see death metal as nerds getting out their frustration. Most of those guys are nerds.
Actually, well, no, you got to understand something. Actually, all metal artists are nerds. All rock stars are nerds. They were all those guys were the kind of guys that were in band, but then one day got testosterone.
I love that. No, that was awesome.
Well, it's true. Basically, they were all hanging out.
So often, my metal started to get heavy. My music started to get heavy.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, and that's what kind of happened with a lot of those guys. You know, a lot of those guys, you know, they were in choir in church, and they were in they were in actual band, and then like one day they're like, you know what, you guys are a bunch of pussies. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start my own band if you guys don't want to play the good stuff. And so of course, you know, because the band teacher wouldn't play Chuck Berry at the time, you know, then they're like, screw that, and they went on their own way and just kind of kept getting harder and harder from there. So basically, I consider it nerds that gain testosterone.
Do you think there's controversy? Like, all right, think about all right, like back in Beethoven's day. Do you think the artists were just as controversial as
Oh, yes.
Combative, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, Beethoven sucks donkey dick, or, you know, whatever. He's
Well, a lot of
you know?
those guys were philanderers and womanizers. A lot of them had
Yeah, but that's the nature of artists in general. But
well, that's my point. Art is always controversial. The good art is always controversial. The good artists are always controversial.
yeah, but is it because they say? I mean, you know, how many people that didn't cut off their ear did Van Gogh's overshadow? You know, the guys we don't hear about. You know,
Well, yeah, but like I said,
like, oh, this guy's deep. He cut off his ear. You know, sometimes the showmanship of it, I guess the show part of the business, overtakes it. Even with classical composers or fine artists, you know.
say, yeah, but at the same time, I'd say that that artists, because they tend to they insulate themselves. Basically, when you have an artist and he's so caught up in his music, he's kind of enraptured with what he's doing. He actually doesn't really focus on what he should be doing. I mean, you can take that outside of art. Anyone who gets really hardcore about whatever it is they're doing, Einstein turning down a marriage proposal to date his cousin and having a check for $5,000 is a bookmark. All right, why? Because he didn't concern himself with those things. He was too busy thinking about his stuff. Artists the same way. You know, they basically would go and do whatever crazy thing they're going to do. Hell, Benjamin Franklin was part of the Hellfire Club.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Was he like now which one was he? Because I seen the comics and I wasn't.
Yeah, no, no, but
oh, not the Hellfire Club. Okay.
No, actually, because of last time I checked, Marvel Comics Hellfire Club never once engaged in orgies and stuff.
So he was bad. He was more badass than them.
Exactly, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You know, you're talking about a guy going around in satanic garb, doing having orgies and all these the opium parties and stuff. And we're talking founding fathers here. We're not talking that was some dude that was just on the news.
Yeah, but they were rebels to start with. They were.
Well, that's my point.
The most noble of men. If they were, we would still be part of Britain. You know?
Well, that's my point, though. You know, is I think those guys who operate from this artistic mind, this creative mind, and that goes for whether you're a computer programmer and you got the bomber peak on, or whether anything like that. You just always have.
Well, you got people, guys. They're like, America's the land of the worst. It's like, well, yeah, we were the worst guys. You know what I'm saying? And the guys we idolize are people like Ben Franklin and people like that, or that. So, they get like, all right. Do you remember the controversial YouTube movie, the Arabic one or whatever, that everybody was, you're gonna cause a scene? It was like, since when did America care about offending people? When did we start to get those scruples? That's a British thing. Those guys are polite even when they're dicks to you. I politely stole all your money from your account.
I think that's because, as a general rule, they have a little bit more reserve and couth than we've got. You're right. We were the knuckle draggers. Basically,
we'd have etiquettes and stuff like that. We weren't refined.
Well, funny enough, actually, we were refined and gentlemen in some ways. Obviously we actually held to, for the longest time, we actually held by the rules of conventional warfare for like a long period of time until we started losing.
Everybody does. Then you get desperate.
Yeah. The thing is, that was cool, and our founding fathers were pretty upstanding dudes, but they just weren't normal by the standards of what would have been conventional.
I've seen the dollar bill. All right, now you got Count Krishnik. All right, he was from Norway, and that's kind of a violent area. You get like a year for burning down a church?
No, I think they got 4 years or 6 years was what they got, but those churches were actually burnt. They actually got more time because they were national monuments. They didn't just burn down churches. It wasn't like they went down in the street and burned the Baptist church. They actually burned
the Liberty Bell.
What was the one, like the Hellhoff Church or something like that? I don't remember what it's called. But basically, it was like this massive church that had been there since like the Middle Ages and stuff. I mean,
what would you get? Would you get a standard arson charge for burning down, say, the Lincoln Memorial, or would you get a larger charge?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, but even then, it was like I said, 4 or 6 years. Actually, mentioning the Count Grishnak thing, funny enough, his mom got in. Well, she didn't get in trouble. She almost got in trouble. Well, she tried to break him out of prison by arming some neo-Nazis with guns and trying to help them extricate him from the prison.
But that's not illegal over there.
No, it's not. They actually have a rule that because of the Viking heritage they have, that trying to do something even against the law to protect your own family in any way, shape, or form is actually not is considered as bad as it would be over here. Over here, like he actually got brought up on when he was in France, I think is where it was. He actually got in trouble like recently when he moved to France. He got in trouble and got arrested because they were accusing him of planning terrorist activities because his wife bought 4 rifles. 4 rifles was enough to decide that he was being terrorist.
I call that a weekend at the AAA Pawn and Gun for me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. 4 rifles, especially rifles. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, yeah. But
I'm gonna get if they're like, oh, they bought 4 handguns. We're gonna question it because handguns are like 80% of murders. You know what I'm saying? Or at least gun murders.
But at the same time, he got in trouble for that. But in Norway, it's a complete different feel. Like I said, they actually had a way different way of looking at things. They're very tribal and like I said, primitive. Not saying that they're barbaric, but rather primitive in the sense that they hold to the same rules as I do. They hold to more Viking standard rules.
Well, I'll break you out of prison if you ever go.
I'd say that's fine. Actually, obviously, it depends on what I go to prison for. If I go to prison for something that's worth going to prison for, I don't mind serving my time.
Okay.
In which case, I'd rather you just watch my family. Make sure they're all
right. I'll watch family. No counts on banging your old lady, though. You know
listen to that.
It comes with the paying the bills, okay? Actually, I might convince her to pay mine. She has a great job. Okay, Becca, I want to ask you what your top 10 favorite songs are since we got you on here, and see what your musical taste is like.
Okay. Well, I don't have. I'll start with what I like the most. Ted Nugent, Stranglehold.
Nice. Not my favorite song for him, but great artist.
Yeah, CCR, I Put a Spell on You.
So, what did you think of Marilyn Manson's remake of that? Did you like the remake, or did you feel like it was offensive to the song?
Remake of
I Put a Spell on You.
Put a Spell on You.
I haven't heard it.
Okay, it's on the. Yeah, you should.
Smells Like Children album.
Yep.
EP. EP. No, that was
Yeah, it was an EP. Even though it was actually a full-length album, it was still an EP.
Because it was all covers.
Covers, and not all of it was music. Some of it was like just like bits and stuff.
I like CCRs. I like theirs.
Everybody likes it.
Remakes. I do. Another favorite of mine is Planet Caravan, but I also like the way that Pantera remakes it. I think they did a really good job on that. Oh God, there's so many. Let's see.
Do it this way. Pick one that you would say is in your top for different genres. So like go first with pop, and then go to rap, then go to metal, and just pick your tops like that. Because you'll end up in the same trap I did, where you're like, okay, and number 75 is.
Okay, let's see, rap, Tupac. I can't pick a song, but I like Tupac.
Doug Ransom.
Would be my favorite. That's a tribute song to my mom because it relates to a lot of the same things I went through growing up. I just changed a couple of the lyrics around when I sing it to her. And then as far as pop goes, I hate to admit it, but I kind of like Taylor Swift's new stuff, a couple of her songs. At first I didn't like it, but the more I hear it, it just kind of grows on me. And Bruno Mars, I like Bruno Mars.
I've heard of Bruno Mars, but I've never actually listened.
He's got a variety. I mean, it's all pretty poppy, but he's got some slow. So I don't know. You have to listen to it. I didn't think I'd like him either, but he's kind of grown on me. Imagine Dragons. I don't know what category they're in, but I like them a lot.
I think they're in like hard rock.
And then as far as heavier stuff goes, I like Metallica, Iron Maiden, Megadeth. The 80s, I like Tesla. Tesla kicks ass.
Nice. Which tracks? I gotta know, because there's 2 tracks that I love by them, but they never get a whole lot of.
I like the one with What You Give, Love Song, Song and Emotion. The album that has, I think it's 2 different. I think Song and Emotion's on a different album.
I absolutely hate Tesla.
What? Dude, they sing Edison's Medicine.
I know. I still hate it.
It's about Nikola Tesla. How can you
I know. I still hate it.
say. And they're the one who pointed out to a lot of people that weren't even interested in that kind of stuff that he actually came up with the radio the same time, if not before, Marconi.
Marconi was just a stealing little bitch.
Exactly. Exactly. So you can't beat that, man.
Well, I mean, come on, you know. It's nothing wrong. I mean, I prop Edison on stealing ideas because that's the best way to do it if you can't do it yourself.
No, actually, Edison. I think the greatest thing there is. Oh, there we go. Great controversy. Great controversy.
Yeah, Edison
AC versus DC. AC versus DC. Oh, that was a controversy for the ages.
I gotta wonder. Do you think they even knew what that really the whole AC controversy versus DC meant when they picked the name?
Oh, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if they actually, because like I said, a lot of those guys are nerds, even the ones that are cool. You know what I'm saying? Okay, and apparently, Imagine Dragons is alternative rock and indie rock.
Okay.
So I did not know that. Anyway, what about folkier, like 1960s folkish type, Peter, Paul, and Mary stuff? The softer side of fun.
She's gonna say Bob Dylan, isn't she?
Jefferson Airplane qualify for that?
That's indie. That's acid rock.
No, but the thing is, actually, well, technically, Peter, Paul, and Mary were actually just in the pop category. They were just popular music. That's because.
Well, you said folk. I'm thinking like Bob Dylan and stuff like that.
The thing is, I don't think that. I think that him is just more annoying.
Lightfoot,
I was just talking about the funner, more pop music of the time, the soft stuff. And actually, I would put Jefferson Airplane in that category.
In soft, sure. Not for the day though, not really.
But because
they were pretty they would be up there with Rolling Stones or any of the other ones.
But that's the thing,
they considered the Rolling Stones to be rock, whereas they considered the Beatles to be more pop.
But that's the thing. As I say, I would consider the Beatles definitely in that
category. What's your favorite Jefferson Airplane song?
Go Ask Alice.
White Rabbit.
Oh, by the way, interesting note. That song was not actually about, obviously, the poem or the book. It was actually about a book called Go Ask Alice. I don't know. Have you ever read that book?
Great book. Gotta read it. I bought 2 copies of it.
Yep. If I remember, I'm the one who turned you onto that book.
Actually, your dad mentioned it when we were kids.
Yeah, but the thing is, I ended up reading it when I was in high school, and it's actually the diary of a girl who basically starts getting into drugs. And whether it's true or not, obviously, no one knows who Alice really is, so there's no way of knowing whether it was fictitious, whether it was meant as a scare or whether it was the actual thing. But it was a really intense book. It was actually a really intense read.
I would say it was fake based on the way they described the drugs.
And say if the shoe fits, lace that bitch up and wear it.
But that was a good book, and that's actually what the song is based on. Is actually that book.
Okay, now do you have any like punk bands or things that you like?
You better. You're married to a Brit. You better have some. You better have some punk.
Right. Yeah.
You're gonna get upset. At minimum, even though he's not technically punk, you better at least say something like David Bowie, something to make him feel good.
Yeah, I love David Bowie.
There you go. Now you can start moving into real punk.
Real punk. Johnny Ramone. Everybody likes the Ramones, though. That's like liking David Bowie.
You realize because she's on her phone, when you talk, it actually cuts her off from talking.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Now you tell me, like 3 minutes before we're ending.
I always had to repeat it. I just figured she was literally in the middle of a long spiel. She probably doesn't want to repeat.
Oh, it's all good. No, I wasn't in the middle of no long spiel. No, but yeah, if you don't like the Ramones, something's wrong with you. Everybody likes the Ramones.
You heard the audience. If you don't like the Ramones, something is wrong with you. This comes from Miss Becca Ledoux.
Let's see here.
She might beat me in offending people.
Classical music.
Classical, like Beethoven and shit.
Yeah, Beethoven, Bach.
Anything old like that. It doesn't matter whether it's Gregorian, whether it's actual chamber music.
Hold on, does it have to be old? Can it be newer? Like Yanni or Wagner?
Yeah, like Andrew Lloyd Webber and Sarah Brightman. I love Sarah Brightman. I mean, if you want to.
I'll count it. That's really on the cusp because of Andrew Lloyd Webber, especially during the Phantom of the Opera stuff, kind of poppied it up some.
Let me tell you a fact. Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote Phantom of the Opera for Sarah Brightman because he was married to her.
Okay, that I did not know.
there's a little fun fact, and I love both of them. I love the whole love story.
I don't feel like it was that fun. I mean, it just.
If you, I tell you what, look up Sarah Brightman and watch her sing.
Seen it.
Opinion on that. And check out her singing with Andrew Botticelli, Italian blind
That
guy.
I might be willing to check out.
Yeah, they sing "Time to Say Goodbye," and if you've got heartstrings, it's definitely going to pluck your heartstrings.
Oh, that I don't. That I do not. But at the same time, no, like I said, Andrew Lloyd Webber stuff, specifically that stuff, the Phantom of the Opera stuff and all that.
Hold on, no. You're talking about specifically the musical playwright, right?
Yeah.
Not the original Phantom of the Opera.
No, the original. Yeah.
Well, originally it was a book. That's why I asked.
Yeah. No, she's referring to his compositions for it.
Okay.
Yeah, when he.
All right. Okay.
Oh,
that
okay.
makes sense to me now. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna cut it off there for a second. V Girl asks, "What are her goals for 5 years? What is her biggest accomplishment?"
Me?
She always asks that.
My biggest goal within the next, I'm going to say within the next 2 years, is to go pro and then, play Worlds. I'll do the Florida tour if I can, and next year while I'm still and improve my skills, and then within the next year or two, I would like to go pro and travel around the world and play disc golf and do what I love. That's my main goal right now.
Well, what's the most controversial thing you plan on doing in the next 5 years?
Tracking you down straight.
Hey, this particular show is themed.
I don't know. I have no idea. Like I said, I don't do anything that controversial to.
I once stole a grate from Daytona Beach. I'm hardcore.
I once stole a stack of newspapers and a no smoking sign and a sticker from the courthouse. We were there.
You want a confession, is what you're saying.
No, he wants
No.
you to plan. He wants you to plan a criminal act and announce it on air. Is what he's actually asking for. He said in the next 5 years.
Yeah, so it would be premeditated.
Yeah, I say no. Like I said, mine was a confession because that's something I did a long time ago. As a matter of fact, statute of limitations are up, which is why I can say that I was doing shrooms at the courthouse in the middle of the night and stole some money out of the fountain and a no smoking sign and a stack of newspapers.
The most controversial thing I think I did criminally. Let's see. Let's see if the statute telling. Yeah, the statute telling. Probably concealed weapons charges. I think that'd be like the most. But I got
That's
off.
not very fair though, because your concealed weapons charge wasn't really a concealed weapons charge. It was actually a dick, is what happened. Not you, the guy who gave it to you.
I attacked somebody with a dick. But that's the most controversial thing I guess I would say that exists in my life. You know what I'm saying, that I've done, or that would,
I say kicking my front door open.
That
Maybe
doesn't
it's
count. You're just mad. That's biased.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I might be a little biased, but kicking my front door open would probably be the one I think.
But,
stabbing me.
That wasn't controversial though. Everybody enjoyed that. You know what I'm saying?
Say, I have a question.
There's no controversy about it. Everybody's like, "Yay!"
No, I'm pretty sure there were people, including myself. There was at least one person who was not too thrilled with being stabbed. My brother, by the way, he used to be very violent and used to take it out on me a lot, and I've been stabbed several times by him.
Well.
I got hit in the head.
Fucking
I got hit in the
violence.
ribs with a pipe. I got hit in the ribs with a lead pipe, and I got hit in the head with a propane tank.
I think that was the rule. Show the police reporter it didn't happen. All right. Now we got about 7 minutes till midnight, and that's the end of the show. So we have to find something to fill in the time for 7 minutes. And if you let my mind wander,
Oh no, I got it, man. Why don't you have her do what you ask every artist that's on here to do?
Ah, yes, a freestyle rap. Okay.
Oh,
It has become customary on this show that all our guests have to do a freestyle rap.
Actually, nope. I'm gonna make a concession because we also had one of them dance. So technically, she can dance if she prefers to dance.
She prefers to dance.
Okay, then.
almost
All
like that.
This is not a PG show, so feel free to dance.
Yeah, of course.
I know what kind of dancing she does.
Well, yeah, but it's kind of
I gotta see my screen now.
It's like cabaret or vaudeville or anything like that. It can be PG-13 or it can be X. It just depends on the audience, you know.
Becca, do you waltz?
This with my family and friends, I have to try and keep it somewhat clean. So
Exactly.
I didn't say you had to make it triple X.
No, Josh, you didn't let me finish though.
Okay.
She can do the other one later. She can just send right. She can do the other one later when she's alone, and she can just send it out to all of our fans who've been watching her.
We could post a video. I know you got some videos that you wouldn't mind other people seeing. That may not be the most controversial, but
she needs a website. You need a website.
I've actually been talking to her. She needs a website. I agree.
I have a private group on Facebook.
All right, everyone who wants to see those other things, talk to her on Facebook.
Oh God, you're gonna get friend requests out the shitload.
Say, yeah, but that just raises her stock, man. No big deal. She's a star. That's what you do.
You're a star. That is what you do. All right, come on, dance for us. You can dance if you want to.
You can leave your friends behind.
We can play some music. Will it help if we play some music?
Well, I was going to tell her, pick a song and just dance around to it. It don't make a difference. Mary Poppins.
You can dance to Mary Poppins?
Yeah.
What if I do that? Well,
Justin's
I'll give you this song that I've sang for years. I made it up a long time ago camping. I was just, sleep deprived and goofy. It's goofy, but here it goes. Ham bone, collard greens, chicken and eggs, cornbread, collard greens, chicken and eggs, and ham bone, where you been? Round the world and back again. Have some chicken at Holiday Inn. Ham bone, where you been? Ham bone. Kmart is our shopping store. We shop there because we're poor. Blue Light Special, aisle 3. Buy one shoe and get one free. Sound off.
There you guys go. The musical stylings of Becca Ledoux. Multi-talented.
Okay. Now, alright, since we got all of 3 minutes, and I like to hog most of that time of that last 3 minutes.
And all the other time on the air, too.
No, wait, you talked way more this episode than me. We will add up the time. We need one of those clocks, and whenever somebody gets over 2 minutes...
like a chess clock?
Yeah, like a chess clock. Justin, you got 3 minutes to talk. Go ahead and come on and talk.
But I don't know if I want to talk to this thing.
Well, you haven't talked the whole show. Yeah,
I usually don't talk the whole show. I'm the tech guy. Tech guys usually don't talk. We're behind the glass staring at everybody. Right. Why did he lose his job? I can listen to these assholes all day.
Even in Jeopardy, the guy when they need to make a ruling, the tech guy comes out and gives the technical answer.
Sorry, you can't say ass. That's not the choice.
Yeah, you can. You can always say ass. Ass is good. Ass is good, everybody. Okay, now, Justin, what is your favorite song?
Oh God, so many actually. Although I know Mike's giving me hell about this one, but I do got to go back to GWAR, The Road Behind. That's actually my favorite song.
That is a great, great song. And that video, Phallus in Wonderland, made John cry like a little girl, so that's always a plus.
That was an awesome moment. He was like, "Can I go home?" Like,
yeah,
no.
Have you ever seen GWAR, Phallus in Wonderland? Becca?
No, I've seen some GWAR stuff, but I don't think I've seen that one. No.
Phallus in Wonderland, it's one of those things that when you watch it when you're a kid, it's so fast-paced, just like the imagery and stuff. I'm pretty sure that it breaks your mind at some point. It's like some form of Manchurian candidate torture, but awesome. All right, I watched it when I was like 12 or 13 or something like that, and I'm pretty sure it broke my brain in some way. but I loved every second of it. It was just psychotic. Well, so I made Justin. I finally found a copy on DVD, and so I was like, Justin, you're watching this. So I made him come over, and I made him watch it, and he's like, dude, that was pretty messed up. I was like, I know, isn't it great? And so his friend comes over, his friend John. I'm like, John, sit down. You're watching this. We put it on about 5 minutes into it after the kid throws up on himself, or the homeless guy throws up on himself, and the dude's smoking crack after getting hit by the car and stuff. And then and then John's like, can I go home? And I'm like, no, you're going to stay here, and you're going to watch this whole damn video. About 5 more minutes in, he goes, can I at least turn my head? I'm like, no, you can't turn your head. What the hell is this crap?
Totally had to force this guy to watch it. It was great. I was loving every minute of it. I was like, sweet, I get to watch it again. This poor kid was almost in tears by the end of the movie.
I envision you guys having him in a Clockwork Orange chair.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
That's another lovely movie. I love that movie. Although the book is better, I love that
I would
movie.
ask JJ, but about 30 minutes ago, he dropped off. And
he said he had to go.
His laptop died, and he went ahead and headed to bed.
Yeah.
I think he has a problem.
Well, he's got work in the morning. He's got to be up to 7, as do I.
Nah.
But fortunately, I'm stuck with you bastards.
Justin, how old are you?
26.
Okay. How old is he?
24, 25.
Yeah, okay, you guys realize sometimes I will go 2 to 3 days with no sleep in a week. I don't even want to hear it.
Right, but I've got to stare at a wall and make sure that there's no rough spots in the dry mud so we can paint Monday. I can't focus that much.
Say, man, that is... Oh, what's that, Becca?
I need to go play a tournament tomorrow and on Sunday.
Exactly.
I'll be burning like 15,000 calories a day with almost no food and little sleep.
See?
So,
Right, but here's the sad part also is I just got through purchasing and downloading GTA 5, and I'm actually going to play that for the next 4 hours.
So that's what it's really about.
Right, yeah, that's what
it's really about. Now we've hit the...
Right,
Hey,
GTA 5. Fuck
in the morning. He's going to go to work on 2 hours sleep, and... By the way, staring at shit all day, that's what marijuana was invented for. If you got a boring job, you smoke some weed, you stare at the wall, time passes fast.
Actually, as much as I hate to advocate,
as
much as I am not a fan of advocating marijuana use, you are dead right. Tedious, boring, monotonous tasks, marijuana is the cure for the problem of attention span in those situations. Like I said, I don't even like.
It can also be the problem that causes the attention span problem.
Say. Oh, let's see here. Which I guess it's midnight, so I guess we should probably be wrapping up.
Yeah, you gotta announce the sponsor. We forgot
hold
in
on.
the beginning.
First of all, let's thank Mike. With Mike, all things are possible.
Well, fuck that guy.
And so now everyone, now that he's already been thanked, we can go ahead and thank all the lesser people involved.
I'd like to thank our guest, Becca Ledoux, with Next Level Apparel. Is that what it's called?
Next Level Disc Golf Apparel.
Disc Golf Apparel, I'm sorry. I'd like to thank Social Radio, who does our broadcasting. I'd like to thank New Blood Talent, who is one of the sponsors, also Bad Beard Productions, another one of our sponsors. And I'd like to thank JJ for getting off early.
It's nice to free up the spots, you know?
Right.
I'd like to thank Mike for letting me talk in the beginning, because once he gets on a roll, that is it.
I'd actually like to thank Josh for shutting up for the most of this episode.
All right, that's new.
Well, hey, don't count it until we check the viewer count. We haven't checked the viewer count yet. So. No, but I'd like to thank all our sponsors, our listeners. Got to thank those guys. Without those, we wouldn't even have a show. We'd just be 4 idiots sitting in a room, you know.
Hey, speak for yourself. 3 idiots and Becca.
I was actually JJ, but.
Thank you guys so much for having me on the show. It was awesome.
We've enjoyed it. It really has been fun.
And if you have a link for, like, you know, either your apparel or anything like that, feel free to send that to Justin, so that way you can go ahead and put it up on the Social website. That way people can click on the link and get to your stuff.
Yeah, do you got like an online store or something I can buy this at, or?
Well, no, we don't have an online store. You just message us through our page or call me directly. Josh, my number. Yeah. But,
that's right, guys. I got her number.
Well, you know, every girl has to have that gay friend she leans on.
That would be Justin.
But I don't have her number.
Yeah, nobody wants the gay friend calling her.
Oh, I see how it is. That's a dick move. Right.
All right, thank you, everybody, and I think that's a wrap.
Hey,
See, you say it's a rap, but is it truly a rap? Because I know
Not
you
until
guys
you hit
continue
that
talking.
button, Justin.
Right. Oh, so I've got to be the one that died.
That's your job.
Your only
I don't
job.
want it to be my
We're
job.
still literally live right now.
Right.
Turn off the camera. We're not talking hard here.
All right, thank you guys for coming out. As always, tune in every Friday for the musical debate. And I want to correct Josh because at the beginning he said this was number 6. This is actually number 7.
Whatever.
You had one job. You had one job. All right, bye.